In this video, I'll be explaining how a VLOOKUP works. First things first, let's start with what the different arguments are when writing a VLOOKUP formula. So in the spreadsheet that I have set up, I have my data over here, right here, and I'm going to write my VLOOKUP in this cell over here. So in order to start off, you write equals VLOOKUP, open bracket. And Microsoft Excel is asking for 4 arguments: a lookup value, a table array, a column index number, and a range lookup. Your lookup value is the value you want to search for in your table array. So in that case for me, that's this table array here, which is the data that I want to search in. My lookup value is whatever I want to search for. Column index number is the column I want to bring the value back from. And range lookup is either a true or false, depending on whether you want to search for a closest match or if you want to search for an exact match against your lookup value. So in order to start off, before I actually continue writing my VLOOKUP, we have to figure out what we're searching for. So in this case, the way that I have my spreadsheet set up, I'm going to be searching for a name, but your lookup value can be whatever it is that you need to search for depending on the data you're working with. In my case, I'm going to type Billy over here as the name I want to find, and I can start writing my VLOOKUP formula. So just like I had it before, I'll start by writing equals VLOOKUP open bracket. And in this case, I'm actually going to click the cell that has the value. So this is referencing cell H3, which has my text value Billy, type comma, and now it's asking for the table array. You can either actually type it using the keyboard. So in this case, my data will go from cell B3 all the way down to F22. So you can either write B3 colon F22, and it selects your entire table array, highlighting or boxing it in red. You can also just click into the first cell, so it has that rotating dotted line boxed in red. And if you hold down the left mouse button and drag all the way to the bottom and let go, you can select your table array that way as well. Comma, and now you need to input your column index number. So the way the column index number works, in this case, my table array is the columns or the data that's boxed in red. Your column number 1 is always the very first column or the leftmost column in your table array. This is column 1 for me. If I want to bring back the quantity harvested, which is what I'm looking for, it needs to be column number 4. So this being column 1, month column 2, crop 3, quantity harvested 4. You type 4, comma, and in this case I want to bring an exact match. So I'm going to type false, close bracket, and enter. And it gives me back 400. Now there's a lot more rows over here that have Billy, the difference being different months, different crop types, different outputs, and quantity sold. The reason I brought back 400, if you're wondering, not exactly sure how VLOOKUP works, because we're looking for an exact match, what it does actually, it takes your lookup value and starts in this cell over here, B3. So it'll look for your lookup value in the very first column, the leftmost column, and basically starting off here, it says, do you equal Billy, yes or no? No, go to the next one. Do you equal Billy, yes or no? And keep going until it hits this point. And at this point, it asks the question again, do you equal Billy? And the answer is yes. So it stays on this row. The moment that it stops on the first row where it finds your lookup value in the leftmost column, it starts to travel to the right based on the number of columns that you told it to go get your result from. So in this case, we asked it to go 4 columns to the right. So it will stop here, and basically this being column 1, 2, 3, 4, and bring back the value 400. The other thing that I want to mention is, in this case, we referenced cell H3, which actually had our lookup value in the cell. If we were to change this to Roger, it automatically updates to 842 because it found it on the first row in our table array, traveled 4 columns over to bring us back our column index number, the result that we wanted from column 4. What I wanted to mention though is that you can also actually type in quotations, because you're looking for a string value, the name like this, so that your lookup value, whether it depends. In this case, because it's a string, you type it in quotations, and it works just the same as searching for the value using a cell reference. So in this case, we would expect it to bring back 505, and it does. And if I were to change this to Billy, the value we had before, then it's bringing back the same value when we were referencing cell H3. In this case, because I have an actual text value in my VLOOKUP, doesn't matter what I type here or really anywhere else, my VLOOKUP is going to be driven strictly by this lookup value, which is hard-coded in my VLOOKUP formula. The other thing to mention actually is if for whatever reason your lookup value, when you're searching for an exact match, doesn't match any of the values in the leftmost column, it'll return an error message. So in this case, if I just put a space on the end of it, it won't find it. And this is just a call out so that any of you writing a VLOOKUP should know about, in terms of paying attention whether or not you're searching for an exact match and that you actually have that exact lookup value in your actual table array. So even if this were, let's say, the other way around, or I go back to actually referencing cell H3, so in this case I'm looking for the value, my lookup value is Roger in my table array, brings back 842. But again, if over here in my table array, and this just goes back to understanding your data and making sure that that it's in a usable format where you'll actually get the results you're expecting. If I put a space behind every single one of these values, it'll eventually give me an NA. So what I would have to do is actually figure out why it's doing this, realize that it's not an exact match. I have a space over there, so clear it out to get the actual results that I want. I hope that this video was educational for you. If you want to learn more about Excel, or if you have any Excel questions and want to get in touch, feel free to visit my website. It's www.excelcoach.ca. Thanks.